Today I'm going to share some tips and tricks for colouring on design paper in real time. Hi there, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and I'm back to colour with you. It's been a little while, and one of my favourite techniques I'm going to be sharing with you today is colouring on design paper. I've got this amazing paper pad. It's from Honeybee Stamps and it's called Autumn Afternoon, and I don't buy many paper pads anymore because I found I just didn't use them, but I couldn't resist this one. And the patterns in it are mostly really good sized patterns for cards. Check this one out. I think this is the reason I bought it. It's actually looks like a knitted grey fleece, knitted, I don't know, but it's got that pattern through it and I love it. I have the Colorado Craft Company's Ice Cream Day. Now these are designs from Anita Jerem, and I love cats. If you've been here before, you already know that. But what I'm looking for here is a pattern that I'm going to be able to colour directly on. Now, I originally thought that this plaid pattern would look nice, and I wanted to share that you can actually do this on different styles of pattern. This green pattern above it is a very fine pale design, so that would be a really easy one to colour on. But this plaid one probably wouldn't be something that you would grab initially because you are going to be able to see the pattern through the colouring, and that could not necessarily work in your favour. But what have we got to lose, right? So I've cut a piece of the cardstock down to fit on the centre of my card. I'm using some Nocturne ink, just a black pigment ink here to stamp out my image today. I'm going to keep this real time so that you can watch the process, but you can certainly speed it up if you like, if you want to hear me talking even faster than I normally talk. You can do that as well. And the reason I've used a pigment ink is because I'm going to be colouring with my Prismacolor pencils. Now this style of pencil works really well sort of covering up a design almost. So what I did here was start by adding some white pencil over the darker grey lines, because I happened to stamp the cat's face over the dark grey lines, which is probably not my best move, but I really wanted the image down in that lower corner. So I'm just going with it, and by laying down some white over that grey, it just gives me a base, a better base to work on, a lighter base to work on. And typically I just colour it exactly as I would any other image. I was going to colour it like fur, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, there's no point, Therese, because I've stamped the outline in black. And unless I'm going to colour a black cat, you're going to see the stamped outline. So I did sort of change the style that I was colouring and just basically coloured it not like a fluffy cat, which is what my initial plan was going to be, but maybe I'll try that next time. The colours that I've used here today I will list at my blog, so the link will be in the description below. All the supplies also that I've used will be linked below, but it doesn't really matter what colours you use. The reason I went for a darker colour cat here is because I stamped the cat's face over the grey portion of the plaid paper, but it doesn't really matter. You could do it whatever colour you want, because that's part of this technique. You do want that subtle pattern to be showing through. It just changes things up a little bit, and I think it's, you know, just something that's a little bit different and fun to do. I've done this technique quite a few times before in the past, and I find that the pencils, because they're the wax base, they do sort of mute the background and it just gives it that different look. It's almost like it's blended into the paper. And one other thing on the design paper, I don't tend to come in with my Gamsol and do the blending. I like the pencils to blend with themselves. I find that the wax-based pencils, if I come back over with the lighter colour again, it works magic. And it also gives it a little bit of a textured look as well, which I really like. And I know it's hard to tell here, but I'm not pushing hard on the pencil. I'm actually pushing really lightly so that I don't fill the tooth of the paper too quickly. That way I can come in and add other colours on top and add my shading to the image. So I think that these sketchy style images are almost made for watercolour, but it's not something that you can really do on a design paper like this because it's quite thin. But you could actually use your Copic markers or any alcohol markers that you have. Just be aware that you're not going to be able to dull out the background as easily, and if you add too much to the cardstock or the paper, it could pill, so you might need to sort of wait for things to dry in between. And of course, don't use pigment ink if you're going to be doing alcohol marker colouring. What I just thought by using this image was, it's such a fun image, and I thought it'd be really good for this technique. But just look at what you have and look at the design papers that you have. You don't have to go out and buy new papers for this. I didn't need to, I just wanted to. And I have plenty of design paper that I could have used. I didn't need to buy any more. But you know, sometimes there's just those ones that you look at and think, I could use that for so many different things, and I really wanted to. And I wanted to share it with you too, so I thought this is the perfect opportunity, and I have not been able to share a colour with you video in a while, and especially one that's real time. So you might have noticed here that I came in and did a light colour for the ice cream. You could easily colour that a bold colour so that it doesn't, the pattern doesn't show through as much. But here I am, I'm coming in with a black here. Don't be afraid to go really bold. So to add your shadows, it doesn't, I know people are often too frightened to come in with the darker colours, but they're the ones that tend to really bring an image to life. If you're not sure, just add a tiny bit and see what you think. You don't have to commit totally. Now, you may have noticed that I used my Misty tool to stamp my initial image. The reason I did that was because I know that my wax pencils can do a bloom over the edge so the black outline stamping doesn't show so crisply. So it just allows me to re-stamp over the image with my pigment ink and crisp up those outlines. And I did add a sentiment from the same stamp set. I thought this would make a great 0 birthday card. So what I can do down the track is when I have a birthday, I can actually die cut maybe one of the tall skinny numbers and put above the sentiment, and or leave it as it is and maybe give it as a get well card. I laid that on some oyster grey cardstock, popped it up on the front of a top fold card. And I'd love to know if you enjoyed this technique. If you're going to give it a try, please tag me. I'd love to see what you create. If you liked the video, please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, it'd be great if you could subscribe. I'll be back again with some more card making videos real soon. Till then, happy paper crafting. Bye.